Howdy folks. In this project I'm going to be doing a real simple and a really easy way to do a raised garden bed. This is nothing advanced. What I want to do is try out gardening for the first time, other than having a few fruit trees that are just starting to bloom now. It's early spring here. I've never gardened before, so I don't want to go and create big raised garden beds utilizing the big blocks for cedar wood or redwood. Is actually quite expensive for something I'm not sure if I even want to do. So for a first time project, for a really easy, simple raised garden bed, I decided to utilize 6-foot cedar untreated wood pickets. And I did choose to do the untreated wood because it does not have any of the treated chemicals, even though the current treated wood chemicals that are being utilized are safer than what they were using about 10 years ago. 10 years ago they were using arsenic. Now they're not using this anymore, but they're using a whole bunch of other chemicals, but still I don't want them in my garden bed. If I'm doing an organic garden bed, I do not want to utilize any of the pressure treated wood. So I opted in utilizing 6-foot cedar untreated wood picket fences, and I'm going to utilize them to build 4-foot by 12-foot mini raised garden bed. It's not, as I said, you're not gonna build anything too high with this, but the mini raised garden bed will allow me to do two things. First, it will provide just a little bit enough height so that weeds or other seeds that are blowing in the air right on the ground are not going to get into the raised garden bed. Obviously some of them will still do that because it's not too high, but it will provide a little bit of a protection. Also, because it is going to be slightly raised, I will actually end up having the soil warmer than doing it right in ground. So you can actually plant, supposedly you can start planting some things a little bit earlier, so it may give you a few more weeks at the beginning and then toward the end of the growing season. Alright, so let's go ahead and get started. So as you can see here, utilizing 2 of the picket fences, it gives me the 12-foot length of the raised bed. The only thing that I need to do is to connect or join the 2 picket fences. What I'll end up doing is using a 2x4. So this is the picket fence, and then for the width of the picket fence, I'm going to use a 2x4, and I'm just going to cut it for the width of the picket fence to actually use them. Use the 2x4 to join the 2 picket fences. And what I'll do here is cut the 2x4. You can use scrap wood from their scrap bin at the local hardware store, or any piece of wood that you have to join the 2 picket fences. You can use a handsaw to cut this, or circular electric saw. Alright, since you already have one piece cut, you can actually use this as a template to do the rest. And that's going to be the next cut. I've measured the halfway mark and I drew a line through it, so I know to actually go ahead and put it right on the line. I also have this picket fence raised a little bit at the same level so that there is no angle. This way it's going to screw in much better. Alright, and I'm going to do 3 screws for each one. You can probably get away with 2, but I'm actually going to end up doing 3 because this piece of wood is not that long. So now we can screw in the other piece. You don't want to have it too close to the edge because then it may actually start cracking. So this is probably as close. I probably should have done this one maybe a 1/4 of an inch further out. Again, it's a garden bed, doesn't really matter, but you wouldn't want to start screwing it in even further than this. This is probably the last spot, so that it's not going to crack. Okay, now that we have the 12-foot sections done of the mini raised garden bed, now we need to do the width sections, and for this raised bed garden, I have decided to do the 12 foot by 4 foot. So the picket fences are 6 foot, and if that's what you guys want, you don't even have to cut them down. In my case, I decided to do it by a 4 foot section, so I'll actually end up cutting 2 feet from each of the picket fences to cut them down from 6 feet to 4 feet. Now that we have measured the 4 foot section from the 6 foot picket fence, we can make the cut. For the second 4 foot piece, you can go ahead and either measure 4 feet section, a 4 foot section, or you can actually just use the template you already have that you just cut. Just make sure on the other side it's flush against the edge, and then just go ahead and do the second cut. Now we can go ahead and cut the 4 corner pieces, but they're the same size and width of our connector pieces that we used to connect the 2 6 foot picket fences. So if that's the plan, you could have already cut 6 of those pieces ahead of time. Because I'm just doing this project for the first time, I'm kind of doing it step by step. And now it's time to connect the 4 corner 2x4 pieces with the rest of the 12 by 4 raised garden. As you can see, it's best to do it on a flat surface so that you can get the corners flush when you actually screw them in, as doing it on the ground will be just a bit more difficult than you probably want to. Alright, let's connect the 4 corner pieces. To make the initial process just a bit easier, I'm actually going to lay this down and just make sure that the corner here and the top here, it is flush with this 2x4 connector. And once it is, we can put 3 screws here. So the ending of the 2x4 is here. We don't want to go too far here so that we don't crack it, but you don't want to get it too close here either, because we'll actually screw from this side, it will screw into here. So you don't want the screws to hit each other if possible. Again, just to make your life a little bit easier, put them further out, but not too close to the edge either. Okay. Again, do your best to make it as flush as possible from this side and at the top. Then you can put 3 screws here. One more and we're done. 1 corner down, 3 to go. Here is the final result with a mini raised garden bed built, and I have added 10 bags of organic topsoil. I also had to raise the end of the garden bed just a bit to make sure that it is leveled, level. Here it is, all done, built, planted and watered. The last thing that I want to do now is I'll put the stake on the edge of the wall for the raised garden bed on both sides, and this will help the garden bed from expanding outward. Well, here it is. All signed, sealed, and delivered. Hopefully you guys found it helpful and informational. Enjoy building your own. Have fun gardening.